Hi there, it's Debbie Anderson. Today I'm here with you from Inner Liberation Healing, and I'm here to talk with you about your recovery from narcissistic abuse. And today we're going to talk about 7 self-love tips for your healing, because we often neglect ourselves, and this is so important on your healing path. So if you could please subscribe to my channel, leave a comment, I would love that. Thumbs up, I would really appreciate that. So, 7 self-love tips for your healing. So being in a relationship with a narcissist, you end up spending most of your time, like all of us do, trying to make the narcissist happy, trying to keep the peace, trying to make them feel good, exceptional, loved. And by doing this and spending all of our time on them, we spend very little time on ourselves. So they zone in on this. They're quite aware that we do this or are lacking this within ourselves, and they look for those of us who are like this. So here's the 7 tips that helped me on my journey to learn to create self-love within myself and see that I would never require love outside myself to feel value or worth. So you begin to feel better once you change from within and getting yourself back on track and your life back on track. You're no longer a magnet for the narcissists, and they lose their interest in you, and you see that you don't require validation outside yourself. So number 1 is living life in the now, in the present moment. So imagine having a control over your monkey mind, not fretting about everything, because our focus is now on the now. And we spend so much time focusing on their needs and their wants, we don't focus on the present. So living in the moment, no longer worrying about the past, no longer fearing for the future, it means that we enjoy what's happening now and living for today. And when I began to live in the present, I experienced how powerful it was and how calm and peaceful and happy I began to feel. So number 2 is something many of us have a problem with, is saying no, setting boundaries. We're often wanting others' approval. We are afraid of rejection. So we say yes to things that we don't want to do. Learning to say no comes with seeing how this is not self-love, or seeing that it is self-love, and that by not saying no is not. It sets boundaries for ourselves and others. So number 3 is taking good care of ourselves, meaning eating well, sleeping, getting enough sleep rather, and doing things that you love doing, spending time with people that support you, that love you, that care for you, and spending less time with those who don't. Number 4 is forgiving ourselves. So we often blame ourselves for the mistakes, as we think they are, for staying with the narcissist for too long, by putting up with stuff that we think we shouldn't have. So however, being angry at ourselves does not help us in a big way. It clearly shows that we don't love ourselves. It also keeps us in the past, and it will not allow us to grow or move forward. Something that I do that may start to help you a little bit is I look at things that I've accomplished during the day, little things, recording this video, for example, and not on the negative. Being kind and loving to ourselves is how you need to treat yourself, so others can see that. Number 5, as I mentioned this before, it's super important, is doing things that we love to do. And we often do everything that the narcissist wants to do, and we neglect ourselves just to keep the peace. Unfortunately, if we're in an emotional relationship, it's common that we lose our interests in ourselves and in our passions, because we're so used to the criticisms and the negativity and the control. Affirmations helped me. They were something in my head, and he couldn't get into that. So I would say things like, I love myself, I love doing the things that I love to do, simple things, all is well, for example. Number 6 is letting go of the past. Self-love isn't easy, but it does get easier. In reality, there's no past, there's only the now. And suppose we repeat the negativity and the negative story all the time. We're fueling and generating these negative emotions, fear, resentment, unhappiness. So if we keep doing that, we stay in the emotional lower states. We're going to never move forward, and we're going to stay in that negativity. Letting go of these of the past, we'll let go of these darker emotions, and this will help us remove the blocks and move forward. So learning to view the past like from an observer's place without all the emotional anguish. You can recognize it, you can validate it, see how far you've come along. And I do this also by looking at little things that I've accomplished in the narcissistic relationship by my leaving or setting boundaries and so on. So you can look at the past and what you've learned and how far you've come. That's great. But focusing on the negativity will not help you. It helps you shift out of the negative states into a higher state of mind also when you focus on the good things that you've done. Number 7 is your intuition, and this is really important and vital to everyone, especially those in a toxic relationship. Looking back at my situation with my ex, I ended up losing my connection with my higher self and the source, and this is what ended up having me stay so much longer, is because I looked for things outside myself to help me, and I'm not blaming you, certainly, but this is such an important thing, is to stay connected with source regularly. It means that we don't need anything outside ourselves to really help us, other than the support of others. I do this by meditation. I do this by walking in nature, spending time with my animals, and this really helped me immensely to be reconnected with source. So how many of these are you actively doing? I would love to know in the comments below, because it's super important to have self-love, and this will move you along in your recovery so much. I can't tell you, by loving ourselves, it does really change us from the inside out, and gives us the power and strength that we need, and see how we're good enough just as we are. So I hope this helps you, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video.